problems with posting their video. I know Linda has. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
I'm so sorry.
It became a comedy of errors, and I tried again, but it didn't work.
It's just not taking the video?
No, every time it says a little sad face, and it says your video is too long, and it's never been 5 minutes. I mean, so it started at 5 minutes, and I went down to like 4. Then I went down to 2.5. But anyway, it has not worked.
Okay. All right. I'm so sorry. So the folks from Oakland also said they had problems. So, and I just heard about this today. So I was going to reach out to Flipgrid directly and kind of.
I'm sure it's user error on my part.
I doubt
I have
it.
tried.
I mean, it should, wait, I'm just gonna, while we're here, click Christina. I mean, I'll try this, but it should, yeah, so it should be set up. Oop, now I'm gonna be in a loop. It should definitely let you have a full 5 minutes, and there's no reason that it would cut. Yeah, there should be no reason that cut you off, so.
I'll try it again.
When the folks from California get here, we'll find out what problem they had. I ran into this one other time, and it was a friend of mine who was trying to post from Amsterdam, and I just figured it was like an international problem. But all my students use this successfully, so I don't know what's going on. It's so strange. Anyway, we are a small group so far. Let me see who RSVP'd.
Joanne and Grant Atkins are going to come. They're just in a class until 7:30.
Oh, okay, great. That's super. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, we had 19 RSVP, so I'm expecting more people. So it'll take a little bit more time. Hello. Oh, there's the Oakland team.
Hi. We're here. Do we want to put it up there? Is that easier?
So I was just talking about you because Linda was having trouble getting hers to post successfully.
Well, we found a trick. We figured it out.
Okay, so tell us.
I think it was a glitch. I don't think there was a trick. I think it just finally worked. We downloaded it and then we're able to upload it.
Has she tried that?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it keeps
was
telling
like-
Linda that it's too long.
Did the same thing several times, and then one time it just worked. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to write to Flipgrid and find out what's going on. That seems crazy.
Yeah.
Because let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, so yours is finally up there.
Yes. I mean, it has to be me. It's not them. But
No, I don't think it's you.
I don't think so. It just kept doing the same thing and then no upload.
I'm going to try, I was doing it in my kitchen, and I'm going to try another part of the house that has better internet connectivity.
Okay.
So.
But don't make yourself crazy, okay?
We almost did.
Right.
I mean, because we can, you know, I don't know. I appreciate everybody hanging with this experiment, and we could, you know, the other option is to schedule a call with the other people in your group. It's just coordinating schedules across is, you know, its own headache. So in some ways, this lets us all see our dilemmas together and talk them through. So, but I don't want anybody to go crazy over this. So I'm happy to help, and I'm happy. The other thing that happened, Linda, was that the California team sent me the video that they created, and then I was going to try to do it myself, just administratively upload it. So that's an option too. They ended up being able to upload it. So
Okay.
okay. Maybe we should just get started here. Okay, let me. I have to log in here to record.
That's fine.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, I'm having troubles actually recording, so. Oh boy. Okay. Kathleen might have to do it. Oh, it is recording. There you go. Never mind. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so why don't we get started? Here's the agenda for tonight. And I was hoping that we could just start to talk about this sort of this consultancy process a bit. I see people are writing how's the consultancy going? If you've posted already, any words of wisdom about your process. So people are writing a bit here. And do you think people want to share out loud about this or about the process so far?
I'll say something. This is Kathy from Oakland. When I watched the 5 videos that were up earlier, I guess I watched them yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And when I knew what was on the shoulders of the Lighthouse teachers, there's a definite common theme, which is about time.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
people already challenged, already overworked, students being in different schools and even a prison program. You know, there's just like, how can we make progress and do what we want to do when there's so many limitations of time and distance, really, for some of their schools it's distance.
Right.
So I don't know where we go with that. It's not content based, but it's definitely a theme that I saw in the 5 and know we experienced that. Like we just the crew time has now been changed from what we thought was around lunchtime to morning time, which is going to be a big problem.
Yeah. So I think for us, when we thought about what dilemma or what thing we wanted to focus on, it needed to be something that was more than just based on this project, something that was going to help us in a bigger picture. So we were like, well, what's the thing we know that not just later when we get to the project, but like today and now. And that was like the social emotional learning, which we need regardless. Our students need that now, and they will need that. And even after this project is done, like they're still going to need it. So we just thought, like, what are we going to get like the biggest bang for our buck right now? And that kind of solidified our choice.
Great. Thank you. I mean, I think that part of this grant is that we're hoping that it builds a little bit of time and space for this work. And that you can then exactly do what you're saying, build the resources you need for the longer term, for the beyond this grant, because we know that that's where the rubber hits the road ultimately. So thank you for sharing. Shanitra, were you saying something or no? Okay. Other things about like working on a dilemma or with your team or thinking about your dilemma? Go ahead.
So I'm with Tulsa. So Shanitra and I are kind of together on the project. And I think to go along with what the last group just said, to look towards the future at, how we want this to maybe look in the next iteration. That's something that we keep reflecting on. And, we have a kind of a sort of partnership, I guess, with a group in Tulsa that's helping us, give tours to students and stuff like that. But it's been a difficult, I guess, just process in terms of working with them and, scheduling field trips. And, we plan for every field trip, we've planned for 4 groups to kind of go in different places as their
For docents. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 4 docents, and I think we've only had actually 4 docents one time out of all of our 4 field trips. So we've been working with like 2 docents usually, and I mean, that doubles the number of kids in each group. And so when you have an adult trying to give them information and them trying to take notes, it's just a lot of people in one place at one time trying to pay attention. So that's been a real challenge for us.
Yeah.
And so with that, we just had questions about like, if we do this again, you know, how do we want that to look in the future? How do we want this to be a engaging and worthwhile process for our students, but we know just those little things can throw off, you know, the whole entire experience for them. And so, and those things are out of our control. So I know this last time, I mean, I guess we ended up with 4 docents only because one of us took over and said, okay, let's just do this. We're going to do it by ourselves. And, you know, we're thinking we're walking to this equal partnership with another group, and it hasn't been that. And that's been one of many things for us. We're like, what do we do about this next time?
Right. Well, it's smart. I mean, to reflect on like, yeah.
Well, and it's hard if you get all of the students out of school and the teachers out of school, and then you don't have the docents, and you've got kids kind of excited to be out of school.
Yeah.
You need a lot of helping hands on that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's been a challenge. We've been lucky. We've actually added some of the student teachers from Shanidra's and Shelby's classes, and they've now learned what it means to be a chaperone or a teacher on a field trip. And they've taken charge, and they've had writing prompts at each of the locations that they go to, and the student teachers have really owned their role. And I mean, I think that could be a whole other separate research.
And that's pretty powerful, actually. That's a
good.
That's one of the most surprising and impressive things.
I mean, in terms of funding too, of actually sort of teaching this resource group every year of student teachers to help them be docents on this passage.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, I was thinking about how so often, the pre-service work is about work in school, but we don't think about the work connected to community, right? So this opportunity to do pre-service work that's about connecting kids to community and community, it's probably a very unusual space that a lot of them wouldn't otherwise get, is the end of the sentence.
Well, we've had similar problems with time that Oakland talked about. Just that, I think that we bit off a huge chunk of the entire 9th grade at Jefferson High School and all of the student body at Tubman Middle School. And so Tubman has been going well because it's, each teacher took lessons to talk about the birth of the school, and it's been school-based. But at Jefferson, they've been doing, and it's about desegregation. So Tubman was born in the desegregation struggle. It was the first Black middle school after Black students had been bused all over Portland. So at Jefferson, it's the gentrification of a traditionally African-American community, which is changing the school and the neighborhood. And so students are looking into urban renewal, redlining, and contemporary gentrification. And so we've had walking tours as well with not enough people and on busy streets where there are all these bike riders going by because it's all gentrified. And so the students have been, so the teachers have been doing some great inquiry into this, but the time to actually contact neighborhood activists, to contact Jefferson graduates, time to plan for new activities so that it keeps refreshing We had a week-long summer institute to plan, and we've had 2 pull-out days, and we have 2 more coming up. But it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then also you have some students who are totally engaged and into this, and others who are like, yeah, I've learned enough about this already. So time is one thing, and funding is the other thing. The students became very excited about the artist's work. And so when it was thrown out, well, how would you like to commemorate this neighborhood and the school? Well, they want to create, steel monuments. And so we're like, well, we were thinking of QR codes. So we're having kind of, okay, well, what about a book? Well, those kind of cost a lot to publish too. So anyway, we're thinking about ways to make money, which once again takes time and energy. And so it's great to think big. It's also hard to think big, and having more time. I mean, the grant has allowed us to pull teachers out of the classroom 4 times during the year for planning, which has been, and to go on the field trip, which has been very helpful. So we'll just keep working on it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I love the ambition of the kids, right? Like,
yes, me too.
Linda, last month I shared a link. I was saying that at the current, there's a lot of pieces that other teachers have written about their projects from the past. And in Albemarle County last year, there was a project, Let 'em Shine, it's called, where they did focus on monuments. And so the teachers put together a resource that might be useful. And it came up last week too. I forget what context, but anyway, that might be something to look at. I was also looking at Philadelphia has this monument lab project that's amazing. Like the way that some people build monuments. Like, anyway, I'm sure that there's, might be some resources that are useful to help think about, like, even temporary monuments that don't cost a ton of money. But anyway.
Yes, they would like somebody to donate at Tubman walls so that they can create murals. So
yeah.
we're also looking for, exteriors.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like the energy. It's good.
Yes.
Thank you. Others, how did you have, was it helpful to sit down with your team and sort of think about what is the question you would want to ask others? Like, was that helpful at all?
Well, maybe I'll jump in. I'm the only one from Rochester in here right now until Joanne and Grant come, but
yeah,
we've met 3 times so far, and I'm the only, so we have basically 2 schools in the same building, a lower school and an upper school. Upper school is 9th grade through 12th grade, and then lower school is 6th to 8th grade. So I've been kind of just creating the space for our club to meet, recruiting mostly lower school kiddos, and then the upper school teachers we're having a big dilemma of recruiting like that age group, like 9th, 12th grade students. Our last meeting, we had like a few kids come, but I think they just kind of like followed me with the snacks, and they were my like past students. So I knew them. So I was like, yeah, come, like, just see what it's all about. And we just kind of didn't really build consistency with a lot of those students. We were thinking it might be like trusting relationships too. So not really wanting to share what their interests are, or like how they even like view community or issues that they might see. So that was a little tough. And today we had another meeting, and it was just lower school kiddos who were really, really into it. And we ended up identifying community mentors and thinking along those lines. And they are trying to figure out like how this internship is going to look for them. And they want to get started, and they want to meet their community mentors. And it's just kind of, that's our big dilemma. And we've just kind of been experimenting and thinking of that, I don't know, in bigger terms of how to build momentum with people wanting to
Is there a lot of work in the school
Wide.
that happens across those spaces, or is it often divided?
So they want, oh, together. So the lower school and the upper school.
Like, do they often do things together or separate?
No, it's always, I think that's our big thing is it's
Yeah.
mostly separate. So, and there's kind of a different community dynamic that happens in the lower school versus the upper school. So it's kind of hard to fit it for both.
Mhm.
So that's our big dilemma right
That's
now.
what you're working on. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And we're not school based. I think a lot of the other projects are like entire school might be implementing something where we're just a group of 10 teachers working with maybe we're at 15 students right now.
Mhm, mhm,
So, and we're looking to grow that, but it's hard.
mhm. And you'll be talking with Chicago and Baltimore, actually,
Okay.
in your consultancy, and they might have similar questions, actually, because they're working across spaces too.
Okay.
Great. And Kelly, how are you guys doing?
We had a really nice conversation, and it was helpful to talk with my teammates. And yeah, I mean, similar to a couple of the other groups I heard, we kind of we named what challenges we were having independently and then found overlaps between those challenges so that we could get some shared feedback on the forum. And we're looking forward to hearing some new ideas. Just knowing that there's an audience who is going through something similar and might have a new way to think about this work it's exciting to have this group when we're going through something kind of big and new.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for being here too. Awesome. So technical issues aside, although I realize they're not aside because if we can't figure them out, I feel like this, there's a potential for, it seems like there's some good stuff starting to happen here. So just as a reminder, we were going to sort of try to get your dilemmas posted and then start to respond to our colleagues' dilemmas. And I did make some suggestions around groups, but it does seem like some folks, I'm just going to link to the groups again. Some folks are, at least respond to your group. If you want to respond to another group, I think that's okay too. In a traditional consultancy, you would really only talk with your group, but we're in this shared space together. So I think we can move around. But if you start at least with your group and listen to their challenge, in the protocol, I suggest that if you have questions, like if you're just not clear enough about the context, so that often happens, you can hear someone talk for 5 minutes and you realize like, oh, I missed like an entire, like, I don't know what grade level you're talking about, or I don't know, ask a clarifying question on Flipgrid, and then they'll respond, and then you can keep going from there. So don't feel shy about asking questions. And so I'm hoping that online there'll be sort of a lot of back and forth over the next month as you start going. We do have, I wanted to ask Kathleen about this. We do have a list of like everybody's contact information. So if you wanted to reach the other group, we didn't publish it because it's like everybody, there's all these people, all of you have teams. And so it's like, there's a lot of names and emails. But if you think it might be helpful to be able to ping people over email, just to sort of give them an update or something, we could make that list available so you could just reach each other's emails.
So Christina, you just said Baltimore and Chicago were together, but I think we're with Baltimore, Oakland, and also upstate New York. Did you change the consultancy groups, or are they the same as in that Excel sheet?
I'm in the Excel sheet right
We're
now.
going, the groups are horizontal, right? Like, so the first group would be Michigan, New York, Tulsa. Is that the way you wanted them?
Whoa, yes. I didn't even see
missed
that. I am
because
so
I was
sorry.
at the last meeting, so I don't even know.
I'm very
Sorry for my ignorance.
Oh, okay. No problem. So
Not-
let me just start with this. So I was thinking that the groups are horizontal. So I am sorry. That was silly for me not to notice that it was confusing. So the idea was to have 3 to 4 projects in each group. Okay. And then Linda, let me, I'll put a link here to, can you reach the chat right now?
Yes,
Okay.
I just, yeah. I was
So
just
that,
trying to find that, yes, okay.
so the idea is to do this sort of online consultancy. And I, you know, where, because we don't have a face-to-face meeting, can we get to know each other and give each other input from a distance is kind of the experiment that we're trying. And
can you remind me, are we responding through Flipgrid or email or Archbase?
Flipgrid
Okay.
is what my recommendation is, yeah. So Linda, the protocol has, and this is something I've done in my class, which is why I was like, I'm hoping it doesn't just fall apart and be a disaster. But the idea, if the group presents a dilemma and then context in 5 minutes, and then the other people in your consultancy group respond to your question and dilemma, and you respond to theirs.
And that's through Flipgrid?
Yeah, the idea is to do it via Flipgrid.
So we'll be making a video response.
Yeah, so after, let me just share real fast. Can you guys see, let me see. You can see the Flipgrid here?
Yes,
Okay. So,
I have to run upstairs real quick because the timer's going off and my husband doesn't seem to be hearing it.
oh no, okay. So let's say I just listened to all of Lighthouse, right? Then I can like hit reply here and respond directly this way.
Hi, I'm Melanie, and
Does that make sense? And actually you can see here that, that the Tulsa team already got one response. Dan responded. And I'll show this again when Linda gets back so we can.
And multiple people can respond to each video. So if we aren't watching with our teammate, we could give 2 separate responses to the same video.
Yeah. And if you've done these in person, what's interesting is that the protocol really has the team presenting kind of not responding to what everybody else says. So this using the Flipgrid kind of gives you that distance, you know, kind of by default. Like you have to just listen to what they say and you can't interrupt them. But they're not going to be talking to each other. So often in a traditional consultancy, all of you would be talking to each other. And in this way, you'll sort of be talking in disparate time. So it has pluses and minuses. But as I said, when I did it with my class, it worked. People thought it was helpful. So again, you know, part of this is an experiment, a time and space experiment, you know, on my side too. Like, how can we build more time to do stuff like this? So Linda, I just wanted to show you real fast that on Flipgrid here, can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay. That it looks like on,
hi, I'm Melanie, and this is Athena and Kathy, and we're from the Lighthouse Community
Yep.
Church.
So one would listen to Lighthouse, and then hit reply,
Okay.
and then it's another video. So you can do that. You can, there is text and stuff, and there's even options here to upload a video or upload an audio. So if you did record something somewhere else, you could upload it here. But the basic idea is to respond in Flipgrid.
Hi,
And you can see here that Dan, this is the Tulsa team, and Dan already has responded to the Tulsa team. So
I wondered why his face was on there. Okay.
yeah, so we'll start to see these little faces pop up on our videos. And I was saying that, you know, doing this in person, of course, you have that tension of like you as a presenter have to stop interrupting the people as they're talking, right? In a traditional consultancy. So the technology kind of forces that here, but it also doesn't let the other people talk to each other very much. So my suggestion would be to listen to Shelby, listen to the team, then listen to Dan, then give your response. So you're sort of part of the dialogue.
And if we can't, we'll just send them an email.
Yeah, if we can't, we'll figure it, we'll do it in another way. So, but one of the things that I always try to do is figure out how can we use technology in human ways to expand time and space for work in the world. That and Flipgrid is, you know, when you don't run into problems like that, is a fairly friendly technology. And this is one way that we potentially could connect and get to know each other and each other's work without having to fly. So I appreciate everybody giving it a try.
I'd like to ask another question about Flipgrid. Is that okay to ask it now?
Yep, please.
Is it possible at the end of the year we're having an expedition of kids, student-led,
Yep.
you know, and is it possible for us to use Flipgrid if the kids could record, you know, like a 1-minute video that we could play that at our exhibition?
Yeah.
I mean, but do we need to be Flipgrid?
Yeah.
Do we need to have our own accounts, or can we do it through you?
Yeah, well, this brings up this actually brings up 3 things I wanted to move into conversation about with you guys. So this is great. So thank you. So the first thing, just on a very practical, Flipgrid was developed at the University of Wisconsin, or I think Wisconsin. Oh, no, University of Minnesota. I'm sorry. And so it was developed, but then was bought by Microsoft. So Microsoft does own it now. And so to use it, you do have to buy a Flipgrid subscription. They have educator discounts.
You don't have to buy it anymore. It's free.
Oh, okay.
With an EDU email address, you can create an account and log in with your EDU. You just have to log in with an EDU.
With EDU. Okay, great.
Or I think it's EDU. It might, because some of the school districts don't have EDU, so it could be something, it has to be some sort of educator, like related to a school somehow.
Great. Okay, great, thank you. One of the things that with free software, there's also, I've set this up to have something that was developed at Minnesota, which is a guest account, so that like the kids or you guys don't have to log into Microsoft or Google, right? And so that's something you could do that through. So if you had an account, like Kellyanne was saying, then you can set up one of those guest topics and have the kids go in and not have to have a Google or a Microsoft account. So it might actually work really well for this kind of thing. And I have colleagues who have done this. I The one that comes to mind is actually a gun violence thing. So it might be very interesting for you to look at, because in response to the shooting in Las Vegas, Janelle Bentz had the kids do a response that they ultimately posted on VoiceThread so that they could all see each other's response. So if an example like that would be helpful, some student, and Kellyanne, if you use it, do you have student examples that you could share? Or?
I might be able to find some. My only hesitation is just FERPA stuff with students.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I've actually used it even to connect my college students with kids in actually Boring, Oregon, and also Doha, Qatar. So I mean, there's a lot that could be done with it, and you can, like you said, set it up so that it doesn't have to have like a specific email or anything associated with it. But I think as an educator, if you have a Microsoft school account or even a Google one, because I'm seeing that you can actually sign up with Google accounts, so I think school districts can access it, you can sign up for free now. And that's new within the last like 6 to 8 months, I think.
Thank you. And so did that answer your question on a sort of technical level? Yeah, okay. And then conceptually, I wanted to get back to this idea of how we can support the kids in our projects in either connecting with each other. We've brought up a couple of things, like should the kids in our projects have an opportunity to connect with each other at the end of a project? Should they be able to meet each other along the way? You know, do we want to add that with the time and space considerations? Do we want to add another layer to this? You know, like there's lots to consider, right? In our last call, someone said, hey, you know, it feels weird that we're leading this project, but it's about youth voice. Could could some of the youth come to this meeting even, right? That was posited as an idea. You know, I think this meeting would be, and so my suggestion was like, yeah, they could come to this meeting. It might be totally boring, but welcome to come. And maybe we could ask the kids how they want to participate in this national thing that's happening, knowing that we all have this different work happening around the country. So I don't know if did anybody have a chance to talk to the youth you're working with or have any sort of conversation like that? Or even talk about this other work that's happening around the country with them? No bad if you didn't, I just wanted to check.
No, but our team council the team council that we have because of the grant, that might be a possibility. But also I'm very interested in trying to get other youth activists in Oakland at other schools connected to our end of the year exhibition. So I'm interested.
That's nice.
I mean, I would like the national part, but there's a lot going on in Oakland. And I would like these kids to see other kids who are older than them who are taking really strong leads in gun violence prevention. So that's just a personal slant from Vision Quote.
Yeah,
I think kids need to see other kids being active.
Yeah, and I think exactly that. So I think you're right that we don't have to necessarily think of a national thing, but how do kids meet other kids doing similar kinds of work and taking similar journeys? And also how can youth be leaders in this work? And does that involve their participation in these national conversations somewhere?
Can I jump in here for a sec?
Oh yeah, hi.
Hi, how are you? Sorry for
I can't see you, but
yeah. Well, I'm sipping on wine, to be quite honest. So,
oh, okay, good.
So, I want to say that, you know, I'm listening to all the conversations, and I want to compliment Toby here and how she set it up initially. So it created both a plus and a minus. So we have 5th through 12th grade students all working together from 6 different schools. Wow. So the issue is
you're in Michigan, just for everybody's
yes, we're in
right?
Michigan, northern Michigan. So our teenagers, the topics that they're choosing, and we already sort of talked about the highly sensitive issues that some of these kids are going to be addressing, and even some conflicting opinions on those very hot topics. And so when I have middle school girls who want to talk about sexual assault, who are going to be working with fifth graders, you know, you have to consider, it'd be so easy if the audience was just other teenagers, but it's
Right.
not. So we're having, I mean, good conversations, but I feel like I'm restricting a little bit where they're going, and I'm finding ways to have them word things differently so that it's not that fifth graders don't know what it is, but I think a lot of them really don't know what that is yet. And I don't want my students to be the one to introduce that. And it's interesting because one of the students involved with the two middle school teachers is my daughter. She's in fifth grade. So, and then I work with the teens who are on probation. So that's what I was wondering, is how people, I know we talked about questions, but like how people are addressing some pretty sensitive topics and who your audience is going to be. And, you know, there are teens who lay things all out there all the time, but for a broader audience, how are we addressing that?
Yeah. And Kelly, was that is that part of the question that you all posted in your consultancy, or is it a little different?
It was a little different. I wasn't actually at the meeting yesterday. I watched Jane's presentation today. But it's just, I felt like it was something that was one of the things we have talked a lot, and it was something that I just talked about in my classroom today. So it's fresh on my mind about how we're dealing with, especially for us, you know, social justice, political action, and then living in a community that is sort of a representation of the whole nation being at war with sides, I guess.
Yeah, politically divided. I think it's an excellent question. It feels like one of those that would be interesting to do a consultancy around and to share. I mean, as writing teachers, right, we're always thinking about audience and purpose in terms of the work and the kids sharing. So, but the larger context in which this work is happening, I think would be important to sort of talk through a bit more.
Well, I think it's cool because, you know, I heard her mention, that's what made me think of it, how she wanted other people locally to be involved.
Yeah.
So the way that Toby set up the grant, that's already happening with us. And it is teaching purpose and audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's entirely appropriate as well.
Right.
Without really restricting that much. So these younger kids, you know, they idolize older kids. And the older kids, I don't think, are as aware of that. Like they forgot already.
They forgot.
So I sort of like that element.
Like it is nice.
And keep it classy, you know, keep it age appropriate. So we're just, you know, we're really just in the shaping of ideas and how we're going to do some of the art and the writing and looking at mentor texts. I like some of the ideas that were mentioned on here too, of getting students to be involved in, even like you brought up the school shootings and letting them respond in a way like that. So that's pretty cool.
Great. So let's keep, I mean, I just want to keep the avenues open for us to turn back to this. And many of us might find these sort of audiences and connections locally, as you guys are saying, and that's really, I mean, vitally important. So that is great. And it might be that some of this work feels like, and some of the students feel like there are synergies that could be developed and connected. So, you know, thinking about some of the spaces like a Flipgrid that could be used to connect some kids is an interesting idea. There might be other spaces or places that we want to set up or create. But anyway, I just wanted to keep the conversation open. I wanted to keep the conversation open around youth leadership, around sort of the national vision of this work. And that leads me to one more thing, is that in terms of national leadership for this work, I will be putting together a report before I mean, I'll probably get it done right before the holiday break, for John Legend and his team. And I wanted to know from you sort of what kind of some of your big messages might be, like if you could share something about this work with John, you know, and he does actually read this stuff. So what would you want to share? And related to that, I was thinking, what would the kids want to share? I think he'd be really interested to hear a reflection or a thought from some of the kids. And I also know that the team in Tulsa told me about they sent us a save a date for the event that you guys are having in April, right? So there's a showcase event in April. So I'd also love to send John Legend's team kind of a list of different events that we know might be happening that would be open to the public. Or, you know, if there's going to be a showcase site of the quilt or something that's available by X date, you know, if you had like even a window that I could share, then his team could start to think, you know, is there any way to make connections? And I cannot promise he's going to be anywhere and or show up anywhere, but there's a greater ability to even think about it if we get information to him now. So
How do you want us to give you that information?
In the agenda, I did put I started a bulleted list. It looks like it's fallen to the third page. That third page, yeah. I'm highlighting it now. So if you know things now, you can add them here. And if you want to just send me an email if you don't have dates, or if you have an idea or something you'd like us to share or pitch. And I can't even promise to really pitch because I don't really have the ability. I just have to let them know. But he cares a great deal about this work. And Linda, I was thinking like, well, I mean, he both cares. He cares about this work a lot. And then, as you might know, his other sort of funding stream, his philanthropic efforts are in Free America, which is a decarceration project. And then he increasingly is interested in school deseg and segregation issues around schools. And I think it's because he has children now. And he's really been following this work in the news. So I think that he's particularly interested in this social justice work that you all are sort of doing in different ways in this community-based work. And the work, I was gonna say, and issues like performance is of interest to him. We've been talking about how credit recovery is an interesting space, and a space of that's often overlooked in schooling, but is a space where real change needs to be made. So anyway, all of the work, I'm just sort of like picking up on the themes of all of your work, but I think all of your work is keenly important to him and his interests, and I'd love to sort of give him a sense of things that you think are important in it.
Christina, where did you say to post the dates? We have 2 dates set. I don't remember them exactly, but I know it's February and June, and there are some, I just don't remember them. So did you want us to just have like Toby email you, or do you want to post on the agenda?
If you know them off the top of your head on the agenda, you can scroll down to the top of the third page, or if you don't, in Google, if you click on my picture, it'll jump you to where I am in the agenda, and I've highlighted the area.
Okay, I'll try to find it in my I'm sure it's in my emails.
And then if And then Kelly, if that's too cumbersome right now, you can also just email me.
Okay.
But I'll be working on this over the next, well, let's see, our next meeting is in December. So by the next time we meet, I'll be able to, finalize this with you all, actually. All right, we're meeting on the 16th. So I should be, getting it done by that, like the next day. So, so let me know over the next month, by the next time we meet, if you have certain dates that we could share with him.
Okay.
Christina, would you want a short clip from our pilot that shows students, doing something related to our subject? I mean, it's video and it features kids.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think some media assets would be nice. I don't know how much, I want to keep it short, but I think pictures and short media assets would be wonderful. I mean, I think we definitely should send what we can. So again, you could email me that to me directly. And I think what one of the things that the Show Me team is really interested in is both the work that you're doing, and then also these questions you have about how do you sort of scale this work, or like what are you building to make this work possible into the future? What's the capacity that's being built here? I think that would be important, including the youth capacity. So. So that's the list of things I wanted to talk about. Sorry, just run the whole meeting. Anything that's just burning on your mind that would be helpful to talk through together? Are people coming to NCTE this week? Are some of you? No? Oh well. The National Writing Project, just for those who are less familiar, had an annual meeting at NCT every year. So we still have we now host a strand at NCTE. So
We should have written it into our grant.
I know.
It's not the same without NWP.
I know.
I was really kind of crestfallen at
last time.
Yeah. Just I didn't feel home at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, Linda. We did build in a new like meetup, like an evening thing, just because there was a lot of thought like at the beginning of it, plus the brunch at the end.
Yeah.
To try to help a little bit.
During the brunch at the end. So
yeah, I did too. I missed it too. Well, something to think about too might be towards NCTE next year, in fact, and how we want to share this work out. So that's something to consider. And I think those applications, it's in the new year, that early in the new year, that we have to put in applications, but we might want to think about something like that together. And then whoever's able to be there.
I would love to see student projects and have some kind of gallery for that. And I don't know, since I can't get on Flipgrid myself, I'm not promising anything, but I think that it would be really wonderful and inspiring for students to see the work that's been generated.
See their work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I love seeing and hearing students talk about their work, and just having seen that Hank Willis Thomas exhibit and thinking about the interface between art and history and contemporary society I think it's really powerful ways that, you know, this is helping us shape that work in each of our locations.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And yeah, I mean, we could set up a blog, whether we want it to be open or logged in or something, where kids could share some of their work near the end of the project, or if we put together a proposal that might like organize around the student work, that would help us, that would drive us to sort of put together a gallery of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And start with the student work. I think that would be very powerful. All right, so we're at time. Any additional thoughts? Good for the order? Thoughts? I'll hang out here if anybody wants to chat just individually, but otherwise, thank you so much for gathering this evening and for all the great work you're doing.
Thank you.
Christine, I'll stay on because I have one question that I wonder if this is